Hi guys and gals, I'd like to make this short video to show you how to optimize your connection with your ShadowPC to use the maximum bandwidth possible. Then I will give you some tips on how to make the frame rate of your games very consistent and smooth so that you get the best possible experience in the stream when you're gaming. And I will use as an example the game Assassin's Creed Unity, which is very unstable and unsmooth, show you how it becomes smoother, give you just a short review of the game too. Okay, so let's start. The program that I have found that helps me maximize my connection to Shadow is called Net Limiter Pro, version number 4 or whatever. It allows you to choose how much of your connection applications and programs use. So you start Net Limiter, and when you open Shadow, you will see the word Shadow appear. This is not the actual streaming process, so you can leave this alone. There's nothing you should do here. As soon as you start the stream, you will see these words appear, the Shadow project. This is the one that you need to click on and choose to give it critical priority in your connection, to give it the maximum possible bandwidth, and just click OK. I have two of them appearing here because I'm using both the beta and the normal app. But yeah, as soon as you start the streaming, you will see this Shadow project thing, you set it to critical and you're almost there. And then for me, using a complete sledgehammer way of giving it all my bandwidth, I just go to priorities and tell this app to, if it is a critical priority app, as I chose only Shadow to be, to give it 100% of my bandwidth at all times. And for any other priority apps, like high priority or normal priority, which is everything else, absolutely zero, nothing. That means that if you go out of full screen and try to open even a website in your browser in your local PC, it's not going to work. Okay, all of your connection is going to Shadow. This has allowed me to use Shadow at 45 out of 50 Mbps without getting any stutters or annoying pauses and stuff like that, instead of the 70% of the connection that Shadow recommends, which for me would be only 35 instead of 35 out of 50. You can also make sure that any tablet or phone is connected to mobile data or off your Wi-Fi and your router, because they're also doing all sorts of stuff in the background. So this is for giving Shadow the maximum possible bandwidth to get a nice clear stream. And now let's go into Shadow and see how we can make games a little bit smooth. So let's start it. It's already running in the background. I'm using the same background for my local PC and Shadow. It's like Inception, because I like it dark. Now, when you're running a game in Shadow, you are not supposed to use vertical synchronization or VSync, as you will find it in the graphic settings of most games, because it adds lag. It adds a little bit of latency, and you really don't want that when you're cloud gaming. You want like really fast responses. So VSync is not a choice, which means that you're probably going to get some screen tearing in the game when the frame rate is unstable. And also I've noticed that if a game is running with frame rates going up and down all the time and you haven't found some way to keep it stable, it looks pretty nasty in the stream, like a little bit worse than it would look on your local computer. Probably has something to do with the way that everything is being encoded, decoded, being sent over the internet and stuff like that. So you cannot use VSync, so you're going to end up with screen tearing in games. And you also need to find a way to cap the frame rate and keep it stable, equal to your monitor's refresh rate. Otherwise you're generally going to have some annoying stutters in the stream. So let's see one way of doing that, especially for games that don't do it very well on their own. They run very messily in an unstable way, and Assassin's Creed Unity is a great example of that. Fun game, but terrible game engine that doesn't run very well. So the application you need to download is called NVIDIA Inspector. It's not an official NVIDIA app, but it's very simple, very safe, very small. So I already have this here. You will find it on Google as NVIDIA Inspector. Download the zip file, just open it, and you'll get this little folder that's only 800 kilobytes. And inside you have NVIDIA Inspector, which shows you the specs of your graphic card. This is not what we need. I'm just going to open it just to look at it like very quickly. It shows you which graphics cards you have, graphics card you have in your PC. For me, it's the Quadro P5000, which is like the professional version of the GTX 1080. And the one that we really want to use is NVIDIA Profile Inspector. As you can see, you start it. You go to this bar and search for your game by name, because it has just a huge list of games it supports. So I'm going to find Assassin's Creed Unity right here. Go to frame rate limiter over here, number 2. It will be off, and you should put it to 60. As you see, it's not exactly 60. The choices are 60.7 or 59.7. I found that 60.7 works just fine if you have a 60 Hz monitor like I do. You can also choose another number if you have a 75 Hz monitor, 144 Hz monitor. Just choose the correct number for your screen, basically. And then push apply twice, as far as I know, for it to like actually work, and you're done. You have capped the frame rate of the game at 60, which is exactly what I want, because because the stream just works better if the frames are very consistent and regular. And it also eliminates the need for VSync, because if the game is running at a constant frame rate, there will be no tearing, the screen will not split in half when you're running a game and stuff like that. Now let's open Assassin's Creed Unity. Let's start it and see the settings I'm using inside to help it perform well, and which settings are turned off, allowing NVIDIA Profile Inspector to just do the whole job. This will take a while, because all Assassin's Creed games have very long introduction loading screens. Just wait for it to start. This game has been patched to a state where it's pretty decent. It was much worse when it was released. Still a little bit messy with a few bugs, but definitely playable, and I would say enjoyable. Yeah. So let's start it here. Go to the options, graphics options. So in here, aspect ratio, just put it to your screen's aspect ratio, typically this one. Resolution, just use 1080p, because this game is not optimized well enough to run at anything higher than that. Even though Shadow supports up to 4K, it's not for this game. Just leave it there. Refresh rate. Now, we have already capped the game at 60 FPS in NVIDIA Profile Inspector, so we don't want the game to also try to cap the frame rate through this refresher. So I put it higher. I put it at the maximum that Shadow allows, which is 144, because I don't want the game to control this, because this game and many other games just do it very poorly and in a very unstable way. Full screen, brightness is up to you. I found that the graphics quality that Shadow can play very smoothly at 60 FPS is very high. There is one higher than this that's called ultra high, but I think that you probably need like a NASA computer for that to work, because this game is just not that well made. And the other important thing, as I said, VSync off. The Shadow staff are very clear about this. You should never use VSync in games or anywhere else to get the least amount of lag. And that's that with the settings. We can go out, try the game a little bit. I've tried it earlier, and I saw that when I'm recording, as I'm recording right now with Radeon Relief, my local AMD card, the game appears stuttery, even though it's really not stuttery when you're playing with not recording. So don't be influenced by that. When you're actually playing the game without recording the footage, it's fine. So it's a beautiful looking game. It really hammers the GPU with all the grouch that it draws. That's why it gets so unstable sometimes if you don't help it. Uh, it's stuttering a little bit because of the return of the recording. Um, as far as the game is concerned, it does a really good job of portraying Paris like in the Middle Ages. It's a fairly typical old style Assassin's Creed game. It's not like Origins or Odyssey, which are more of like role playing games. They have a lot of dialogue options. They also have a lot of like ways of getting XP and upgrading your character in a complicated way. This is like the old Assassin's games. Very beautiful city, as you can see. You do some treasure finding, collecting chests and stuff like that. The typical stealth and action sections. A lot of assassinating. The typical conspiracy theory story. It's repetitive, so it's fun. If you have played other Assassin's Creed games and you know that you like them, then it is a game for you. And if you haven't enjoyed them in the past, then this is not the game for you, because it's exactly the same. A lot of running, climbing, and stuff like that. So yeah. And just to finish the video, I'll just jump off the church. I want to let you know that at Uplay now, the official Ubisoft platform, the game is only €9 or $9. So it's gaming, a decent game on the cheap. So I would recommend it for that price for sure. Yeah, it's definitely good enough for €9. You'll get enough enjoyment to justify that investment. Yeah, the stuttering that you see a little bit won't happen when you're not recording the footage. So yeah, good looking game all in all, pretty fun. So thank you guys and girls for watching. I hope you found this a bit helpful in any way. Please feel free to correct me if I've made any mistakes. Comment with any suggestions and stuff like that, and perhaps see you another time, like in another video about games in Shadow. Take care, have a good day.